Good morning, students. Welcome back to the next session of artificial intelligence. Well, in the previous session of the artificial intelligence, we have discussed the concept on first order logic, and before that we have seen about propositional logic. So these logics are being used in order to get the desired output what it requires for a given agent. I mean, like for an agent, this logic will help to understand that what kind of inputs are required, so that based on the given input it takes the decision, and that decision will be taken by the knowledge based agents. So now we will be discussing the process of inference here. So as I already mentioned while explaining the concept of knowledge based agents, that inferencing is getting the new information, or getting the result information, or getting a conclusion from the given set of evidence or from the given set of facts. So that's why in artificial intelligence, whenever a computer which is uses artificial intelligence techniques, so what it does is, based on the present facts or based on the existing logic, either it creates a new logic, or else it gives you a new conclusion, or else it will give you a new fact. So all of these come under the process of inferencing. So now the techniques are being used. There are some techniques for performing the inferencing process. So you can see that here is the techniques which are being used here is forward chaining, backward chaining, and this we will be seeing resolution. Okay, this is a process, is actually a theorem which is used to prove the given statement among the given set of statements. So first we will be seeing about forward chaining. See, forward chaining, what do you mean by forward chaining here is that, for example, like there are some set of facts has been given, okay, and based on that fact, what you have to do is, using that fact you have to prove something else. Okay, you have to prove something from the given set of facts. Now that means what here is that the data has already been given here, because as you know the set of facts has been given, or set of information has been given. That means you can say that the data has been given. That's the reason why this forward chaining is called as data driven approach. Using such existing data, we need to go for a conclusion. I mean, we need to prove what is required to be proved. So that the process of proving that, it means we are reaching to a conclusion, or we are reaching to a goal state. So that's why, like, what we have to do is that for the given set of conditions, the set of conditions, I mean the given set of facts, whatever they have, it checks all of those conditions, it matches the set of condition, and the main thing is that it infers results. Infer means getting the result, okay, getting the results obtaining from the existing data from the given condition. So that's why you can see some of the examples are here. For example, if you take one example is already provided here. What this example says is that, now if I take propositional logic for any sentence, okay, because I said you that knowledge will be represented in set of statements. So I say one statement I am representing with a symbol called as A. Now what the given condition is that the given statement is true. What is that given statement? That is true, which I denoted as A here. Now along with that there are some other inputs, like here we have taken some compound statements. So this example basically deals with propositional logic. So here you can see that B implies to C, and here there is another rule which there is another information that A implies to B, and also it has been given C implies to D. And what it is saying that the particular statement D, which is denoted with D, we need to prove that this is true. That means what it is, they have given a data, they have given one statement which I denoted as A, and it says that this statement is true. Now what I have to prove here is that I have to prove that the one particular statement is there, okay, which it is denoted as D, and I have to prove that this statement is true. And along with these two things, they have given three compound statements where implication symbol is used. I mean, what it is showing that if that means what this implies works, if B is true then C is true, if A is true then B is true, if C is true then D is true. So like that you can consider, but they have not said that B is true and C is true, right? But what we have to do, we have to infer the conditions from the given input. So now what is the input here? A is true, okay, this is we know. Now if you consider this part, if you consider this a statement, okay, which is a complex statement, what it says that here A implies to B. Now what do you mean by that? It means already given that A is true. Now when A is true, if A is true, what happens? If A is true, then B is true, right? It implies in that way only, right? Implication symbol will be in that way only. So by this, they have already given that if A is true, now A is true, right? That means what we got from this statement is that B is now true. That means whatever the statement B have, B is this notation to denote the statement. So now it shows that B is true now. Now using this B condition, I can use for another statement where I have used B implies C. So now if B is true, then ultimately what happens? C will also becomes true here. Now using this statement, what we got is that C is true. Okay. Now finally, what I got to know that A, B and C are true right now. But if I take this one, the last statement, in that it says that C implies to D, it means that if C is true, then ultimately what happened? D is true. And what we have to prove that? We have to prove that D is also true. So now because of this, we have proved D. So if you see the process, in this process solution, what you got? You need to start from A, and you are proving first B as true because by using this condition. Now when B is true, we are proving C is true using this condition. Now I got C is true, now I am proving D is true by using this condition. So at last I proved that D is true. That means you can say that the chain has been formed and it is going in forward in direction. So how this chain is going? Something like it is starting from A and it is going towards B. As I said, A is true, then B is true. Then again another chain happens where it goes from B to C, where if B is true, then I got C is true. Now the chain continues, then I got C, and using that C I am proving D. So now I can say that D is also true. So that's why it is going in forward in direction. That's the reason why the name has been given as in forward chaining. That means using data, what are these all? Existing data. Using the prerequisite condition that A is true, we are approaching to the goal state. We are approaching to the goal condition. That's why this will be termed as a forward chaining. Now this is something I have taken in propositional logic. You can use also this forward chaining in first order logic as well. Okay. While you take first order logic, the sentences will be complicated. The conversion of first order logic will also be somewhat complicated. But in order to understand the concept of forward chaining, this is how the simplest example I have taken so that you can understand well that how this chaining process works, which will work in a forward in direction. So this is regarding forward chaining. Okay. The next thing is about backward chaining. So the backward chaining is the reverse of the forward chaining process. That means here, as I said, why reverse means, if there is the same example I am considering over here for backward chaining. Now what happens here is that the search process starts from the goal state. I know the goal state is D and I have to prove the goal state as also true. See here, I started from D, but I have not yet proved that D is true, but I have to prove D is true. How? That if I am taking from D, if I am reaching a state where one state is already in true condition, it shows that then finally D will become also in condition of true. I repeat once, that it starts with the goal state, that is the condition is, the statement is D, I have to start from D. As I am starting from D, that it doesn't mean that it is true, but I have to prove that D is true. How can I prove that D is true? I can prove by reaching from goal state to the initial state, because when I reach to the initial state, as in example it is already mentioned that in the initial state that is true. If from the goal state I reaches to the initial state where it is true, it means that when D is true, then only I am reaching towards A. So you can prove that D is true at that moment of time. That's why you can term this approach as goal driven approach. Goal driven means you are starting the procedure from the goal state and where you are reaching to the initial condition, which is A. Now how it works? It works in this way, as for example, if I am starting from D, okay, as I start from goal state, so now I will be going from right hand side to left hand side for this condition. Okay. Now what I am proving that, as you know, implies means when the right hand side will be true only when the left hand side is true, right, in implication. So now if I say that if D, let us, I am assuming D as true, because if I want to prove D as true, I should assume as true, and if my assumption that D becomes true is correct, then I can say that my assumption of making D as true is valid. So I am just assuming D as a true. Now as I assume D as true, that means as a right hand side part is true, ultimately the left hand side part also becomes true. So because of this condition, what happens? C becomes true. C is true now. Because when the right hand side in implication is true, ultimately the left hand side becomes true over there. The same thing even applies for the next statement. When I prove C as true, that means I am taking that condition and now I am proving the left hand side which is also true. That means now B is true. Now using this B is true, again I am taking that condition. Now I am saying that if B is true, now then A is true. But A is already true, right? Now the given condition is A is already true. So as A is true, that means from the given, that means this is proved, because we have reached finally to the initial state which is true. So by this we can say that the D is also true. So that's why we are referring this term as backward chaining, because from the end to the initial one it performs. So how it performs? It performs from D, right? Then from C to D, that means right hand to left, you will get what? C. After that, using that C, what is going to happen here? We are going to B to C, then we are getting B here. And using that B, what I am doing here is A to B, so I am getting what? A finally. So this what A which I got here is my initial state, which is already given that it is in true condition. So that's why you can say that the D is also true. So that's why the same procedure applies here, but in reverse direction. Okay, so that's the reason why the name has been termed as backward chaining. So this is about backward chaining. Now the third approach is resolution. So resolution, before going to resolution, we should understand some other forms, like we should understand what is conjective normal forms. See here, for example, I mentioned that resolution I am taking in first order logic. That means the facts are the sentences which are present in knowledge base. Where it presents? In knowledge base will be in first order logic. Okay, so I mean sentences are being in first order logic, because in first order logic efficiently you can cover most of the scenarios, whereas in propositional logic you cannot cover all of those things, because in propositional logic you can only take such statements which either give you a true or false, but first order logic will covers other cases apart from the Boolean cases. So that's why first order logic is more and more preferable over propositional logic. So this first order logic will be difficult for a machine to understand. So now the machine will, there is a need of another language or another form, another way of representation where machine can understand well. So because of that, we are converting this first order logic into conjective normal forms. Okay, see here, basically in first order logic you will be having universal quantifier, you will be having existential quantifier, you will be having AND operator, you will be having implication operator, you will be having the biconditional operator. So what happens in conjective normal form is that this normal form will not contain all of these things. It just contains OR operator along with the atomic sentences. So how this conjective normal form, you can also call this conjective normal form, or you can also call them as clausal form. So this clausal form or conjective normal form basically will be what you can say that is a conjunction of atomic sentences. Okay, if you say in first order logic, in first order logic also we have two types of sentences, that is atomic sentences and what is that, complex sentences or composite sentences. So in complex sentences you will be having connectives over there, okay, which will be either implication or biconditional or else conjunction. Okay, so all of that means AND operation. So what this basically will do is that here it converts into R form. So what will happen that the FOL should be converts into CNF, then in CNF it will be collection of atomic sentences. Like one example I'll give you here. If you see these examples, all the examples are of in CNF. You can see that you are taking predicates, but you can see that these predicates are actually of atomic sentences, and there are two atomic sentences and they are being unified through OR symbol. If you see in the first statement, second also, and third one doesn't have anything, simply it has just a predicate, just have an atomic sentence, and here only we are using negation over there for an atomic sentence. So this looks very simple because it won't have universal quantifier, it won't have existential quantifier, it won't have implication symbol, it won't have biconditional symbol. So that's why CNF will be very simple and it will be helpful for a machine to understand well regarding what the knowledge is of about. So that's the reason why this we need to understand here. And clause, what do you mean by clause? Okay, clauses are something like, you can term these are unit clause. These are disjunction of atomic sentences. What they are? Disjunction of atomic sentences, or you can simply call as atomic sentences. So that's why atomic sentence you know, right? In first order logic, I have said you that what are the examples of atomic sentences. So that you can consider as the example for atomic sentence. Now we need to understand the process of resolution now. So what is the resolution process here is, for example, knowledge knowledge representation in agents, I mean knowledge representation, knowledge base agents contains knowledge base, right? What it contains? Knowledge KB. In knowledge base, it contains set of facts. Okay, what it contains? A set of facts. So what, for example, there are some set of facts will be there, and you have to prove something among the given set of facts, or you have to prove something which is not there in that, but you have to prove using that facts. So if I want to prove some fact from the given set of facts, then I can prove by the process of resolution. So that's why resolution is actually a proving technique, which is a theorem proving technique, okay, that will be used for refutation proofs. That means proof by contradictions. Contradictions means if you are saying that it is has to be proved, okay, if any statement is there, you have to prove that statement. Then what you have to take is that you have to take the reverse of that statement, and if you are taking the reverse of the statement, and if the reverse of the statement will be false, that means then you can say that the actual statement is true. That usually in mathematics we used to do, right? So in that same process, that's why you can call as proofs by contradictions. How it means that whatever the sentences or whatever the facts which have, if they say us to prove that facts, I mean the machine has to prove that. So how this will be proved by contradiction means taking the negative of the given statement, and if that will become null, finally what happens that the given statement which I have taken in opposite, I mean like in a reverse direction, I mean like in contradiction manner, so we can say that the actual statement is true. So that's why it was invented by a mathematician, because this is how related with mathematics concept, which is contradiction concept, by John Allen Robinson, okay, which is in the year 1965. Now, what is the purpose of resolution here in artificial intelligence? This is about resolution, but what is the purpose of resolution here? So, resolution will be used here in facts. Okay, facts, where it presents facts, it will be present in knowledge base. Knowledge base contain facts, and I have to prove some fact using the set of facts which are present in knowledge base. Okay, and we need to prove the conclusion of the statements. Okay, so all of this process will be performed by unification process. So this unification process is performed by taking resolution graph or resolution tree. Okay, we'll be discussing that also. What is the resolution graph or resolution tree? That means you have to use finally a graph, and at the end if you are getting a null clause, that means first you have to take a contradict statement of what the statement you have to prove, and using that contradiction you have to make them as null clause. If you are getting the null clause, it means that you have proved the given statement. So that's why you can say that resolution is a inference rule, single inference rule. Inference means something you are obtaining from the given set of facts, or some fact you are proving from the given set of fact. Okay, and that can be operate on CNF. Okay, this resolution technique will be operate on CNF, but our input will be in first order logic. Our input will be in first order. So we need to convert this first order logic into CNF, that is conjective normal form, so that this conjective normal form will act as an input for resolution in order to perform the process of unification. Okay. So now what are the steps which we need to perform for performing the process of resolution? The first thing is that initially we will be having the facts in our English like statements. So what we have to do here is we need to convert them in first order predicate logic or first order logic. Okay, that means we are converting the facts into FOL. Simply I can say that, and the statement which I need to prove that the statement is true, okay, then the given particular statement I have to negate the statement. Negate means I have to use negation symbol for the given statement. Okay, that's why you can call them as proof by contradiction. Now that first order logic which we obtained from the given facts, I have to convert into conjective normal forms, because this CNF acts as an input for unification. What is that unification? Drawing the resolution graph or performing the task of resolution graph is what your unification process. Now the first step we'll be seeing with an example here. Now there are some facts here. In examination also they will be asking you, they will be giving you some set of facts. Facts means a knowledge, a set of knowledge. And for example, these are 3 facts they have given, and they are asking us to prove that if someone is smiling. We need to prove that from the given set of facts. What are the facts? The first fact stands for all peoples who are graduating are happy. Now this is one fact. This is one kind of knowledge. Now the second thing is all happy people smile. This is the second fact. And the third fact is someone is graduating. Now using these 3 facts, what we have to do is we have to prove that is someone smiling. Okay. How we are proving? We are proving by a process called resolution. So because the resolution is a theorem proving technique, right? So I am using a theorem of contradiction here. So first thing is, what is the first step? We need to convert the facts into FOL. Now everyone knows how can we convert into first order logic. See, if you refer the first statement, what the first statement says, that all peoples, whenever an all will come, you have to use universal quantifier. So I used for all, and for all peoples it is there. So I am not mentioning people, I am using a variable x. For all x, or for all people, x represents for people who are graduating. Then who is graduating? Peoples are graduating. So graduating of x means that peoples are graduating, AR happy. So R means implication symbol. I said in the previous class of first order logic that whenever if I am taking universal quantifier, I have to use implication symbol. So now I have used implication symbol. Are happy. Who are happy? The same persons who are graduating. So happy of x. Now x represents for persons. So for all peoples or for all persons who are graduating, implies means are happy. So this is my first order logic for the given statement. Now there is a second example, second fact. What is the second fact? Is that all happy people smile. Now again all is there. All means I have to use universal quantifier. And for peoples, so I have made the people as x. So when I make people as x, so the peoples are happy, right? So happy of x represent that all peoples who are happy, okay, will smile. So here who is smiling? X are smiling. The x means people. So that's why I am using implication symbol here. What do you mean by that? All happy people or all happy people smile, or all happy people are smiling. Okay, so in that way you are representing the first order logic. Now what is the third one here is that someone is graduating, someone, not all. So whenever a someone or at least one people is coming, then you need to use existential quantifier. So I am using existential quantifier for X. X are the some persons or some particular person, and that person is graduating. So I am using this graduate. So this is an example for atomic sentence. What is this? Atomic sentence in first order logic. And this is complex sentence. Why? Because I have used implication symbol here, right? I have used implication symbol. That means I have used connective. So that's why it is complex sentences. Now I got this one. Now another one is that what is I have to prove is that is someone smiling. So that also I need to convert in FOL. So is someone, again someone means existential quantifier. So X is that person, is any person who is smiling. So smile of X, that person. Again this is also an atomic sentence. Why I can say that it is atomic sentence? Because there are no connectives here. Whenever a connectives will be there between two atomic sentences, so you can say that happy X and graduating X are two atomic sentences, but we connected with universal quantifier, that is different thing, but these are two atomic sentences and we form this as complex sentence. Here also in the first example as well as in the second example, they are complex sentences. So this is how what we got as the facts, that means the sentences we have converted into first order logic. What is the next here is that, what is the second step? We need to negate the statement which we need to prove. So what we need to prove is someone smiling. So we need to prove is someone smiling. So what we have to do, we need to negate that statement. Negate means I have to use negation, okay, negation symbol here before the given statement. Before it was like this, right? So now I have used in this way. Because I said that whatever the things which I have to prove, I have to first take the, I have to prove by contradiction, means I have to think that if someone is smiling, so negation means what does it mean? It means that someone is not smiling. Okay, if someone here is someone smiling, here it is, right? So now it becomes that if someone is not smiling. Okay, it becomes in that way. Now what is the third part? The third part is says that we need to convert this FOL which we got into CNF. CNF means again conjunctive normal forms, because for performing resolution process what we require is CNF format, not FOL. So we have to convert them into CNF. So in order to convert the first order logic statements into CNF, there are some steps which we need to perform. So as I said that in conjunctive normal forms there won't be any implications, right? So the first step is that we need to eliminate implication. Wherever the implication symbols are there in the first order logic, I have to eliminate those things. Now the second thing is that standardized variable. Standardized variable means, for example, I'll let you know with example that if for example in a first order logic there are some multiple facts are there, and if they have taken with same variable xxx, instead of that you can take differently, because you are standardizing means you are representing all statement with separate variables. So by example you will come to know. And then the third thing is that whenever a negation is there, like negation of whole will be there, right? In that way anything is statement. So this negation you have to make inverse, means you have to take inside of the statement. That's why it is called as move negation inwards. Then next is scholomization. Okay, scholomization means replacing the the variable with a constant. Okay, that also I'll let you know. And finally is that wherever in the FOL universal quantifier are there, universal means quantifier means this one, you need to just remove all of these things from the given statements. Now the first step is eliminate implications. So for example, if this is in the format alpha implies to beta, then how should we eliminate, I mean how should we eliminate implication symbol? It will be eliminated by using negate of alpha or beta. That means both the terms are equivalent here. Okay, both are equivalent. How they are equivalent? Because here we are removing this implication symbol, instead of that we are putting or here, and also we need to change, as you have to perform negation here. Okay, this is the first process. But if it is a biconditional, let us assume if biconditional also there, we need to remove. How can we remove? By performing in this way. Alpha implies to beta and beta implies to alpha. Same thing, only equivalent only, right? Again, if I want to do alpha implies to beta, means how it will be? In the same way, in this way you can further derive the given statement. So this is the first process of eliminating implication. Now if I see with an example here, so this is what the first order logic which we obtained here. This is first statement, this is second statement, this is third fact, and this is your fourth one, and this fourth one is this one I have to take, because I shouldn't take that one, I have to take this one. Now eliminating implications. So how I am eliminating? So I am just showing you an example. Yeah, so in this way, in this one what happens is that here, if you refer the previous statement, this one, if you refer this previous statement, here implication symbol is there. So I am removing this implication symbol, I am putting or here, and I am implementing negation symbol before graduating. So here I am doing the same thing here. What I am doing for all x, then the persons who are not graduating, I am making them as, and I am making or, instead of implication I am using or here, because here I am using or. So that's why I used or here. The same thing even applies for the second statement here. Here instead of implication I applied negation here and I applied or. But here it won't change here. Okay, because we are not, for the third and for fourth first order logic, we are not implementing any implications. You can see here. In this one we are not using implication. So in the fourth one also we are not using implication. So that's why there won't be any changes in this one. No changes. Okay, here it won't be no change. But in this one, changes will happen. Now what happens? The second part, standardized variable. So for example, some example are over there here. Like some are regular. Sorry, all are regular. So as it is universal means all are regular. So x again I have taken, and this is means some are busy and some are attentive. Okay, what is this? Some are attentive. So here you can see that everywhere I have used x, x, x. So I need to standardize that variable by taking, here I am taking x, here I am taking y, and here I am taking z. So that's why I am replacing every statement with different variable. So the same thing even applies here. Previously if you see in this part, everywhere you can find x axis is there, but now here I am using x, here I am using y, here I am using z, x will be changed to z, and here I am using w. This is z and this is w. So I change that one. Now what is the third thing is that we need to move negation inwards. So there are some possibilities. So all these are what the possibilities. What are the possibilities here is, if the negation of universal quantifier will be there and it is outside of that one, so universal quantifier changes to existential quantifier, and wherever the p is there, here it becomes as negation of p. and wherever the existential quantifier will be there, it takes as universal quantifier, and wherever p is there, it takes as negation of p. And here if I am taking alpha or beta whole of negation, then what happens in this part? In this part, what is going to happen? Negation of alpha, and I am changing, instead of r I am replacing and the negation will also applies to beta as well. Okay. Next statement, negation of alpha and beta. So I made as negation of alpha or negation of beta. And so for example, negation of negation is same thing, alpha only, right? That means if any statement, let us assume alpha means he is smiling. Now negation of alpha means he is not smiling, and negation of he is not smiling means again he is smiling only, it will become, right? So that's why negation of negation alpha will give you as alpha only. So these are the rules. If any of these such rules will come in your example, then you need to implement them and you need to do the changes appropriately. So if you refer the previous thing here, everywhere in this way you can find that negation is not there, only the negation is there in the last statement. Okay, negation of, okay, actually negation should be here, negation of for some for some w, smile of w, it is there, right? So what it is, we are using this condition. Okay, in this condition, second condition we are using here. So when I am using second condition, so now the three things will remain same, there won't be any changes, right? Yes, you can see there won't be any changes, no changes. But in this one change will happen. Why? Because here existential quantifier replaced to universal quantifier and negation comes over here. Okay, so that's why there is a change in this part. Now this is the third step. What is the next step is Coulomization. So what is Coulomization? Coulomization means wherever existential quantifier are there, you need to remove such existential quantifier, and the variable for which they are associated with that, we need to replace with them Coulomb constant. So if you refer this example, like some are busy or some are attentive. So instead of that, after Coulomization, I am removing this existential quantifier, and this y I am replacing with Coulomb constant, and this will be replaced with Coulomb constant again. Okay, so these are what the Coulomb constants which we have replaced now. Now for our example, okay, for our example, the existential quantifier is just in this part only. Okay, graduating of z. So I am just removing this part and I am replacing it with Coulomb constant. So I am using this Coulomb constant as A here, and everything will be same. So here no changes, here also no change, but the change will be there for this line. Okay, and the last part, what is the last step? You need to drop the universal quantifier. Okay, so this is just a sample, like how we need to drop the statements. I mean, we need to drop the universal quantifier, like all are busy. Okay, this is one statement. All are attentive. Okay, all are, because universal means all are busy, all are attentive. So after dropping, what happens? Simply it removes this part, this part. So it becomes busy and it becomes attentive. It will be in that way. So for our example, which we are considering now, So the changes will be in the first line, second line, fourth line. Third line will not have any changes. So that's why in first line also we have drop universal quantifier, in second line also we drop, but third line no changes and fourth line we drop. Now this complete part what we obtained finally is your in conjective normal forms. So now this is the form of a conjective normal form. So now this will be acts as an input for resolution graph. And I said you that resolution is process means theorem proving technique. So whatever the fact which we need to prove, so what we need to prove is someone smiling. So we need to start with what? Negation of f. That means we need to start this line first. What is that? Negation of smile. Okay, so we have to start for this, and we need to check with this. We need to check where the contradicts. Okay, it contradicts all the other rules in knowledge base. So all these are what all the other rules are, all the other facts in knowledge base. So wherever smile is there means we have to take that statement and we need to contradict them, and we need to perform this process until we reaches to null clause. If we reaches to null clause, it means we have proved that the given fact that someone is smiling is true. So now how the resolution graph is that? First we are taking this part. So here we are taking this part. Okay, so here we have taken this part. What is this part here is that we have taken negation of f. Just now I said you, right? We have to take negation of f. What is the fact? This f stands for the fact which we need to prove. Okay, so I have taken this. Now wherever you have to take the smile, which will be in not negation. So where smile is there? Smile is just there in this statement. So I am taking this statement here. Okay, now what happens? This negation of smile and smile will contradicts. Okay, what happens? Will contradicts and it only remains what? This part. What is this? Happy. But remember, as you know, this smile is associated with variable w, right? So we need to replace this happy with, that is, what is the variable which is associated with happy, because we are taking happy here. So we need to replace y with w, because here in this part only w is there. So I am taking as negation of happy of w. Okay, so I have taken in this way. Now again I have to see the reverse of this, where happy is there. Where happy is there? Happy is there in this statement. So when I am taking happy here, so again it needs to be get contradicts. So when it contradicts, what happens? Only what it remains? Negation of graduating. But what we need to change the variable? We need to change it with w, because happy is associated with w. So that's why s we are changing with w here. So when we change this w, finally what it remains? Now we need to check for graduating. So whether graduating is there? Yes, graduating is there here in this part. So now graduating I am taking here, and I need to contradict both the statements. So finally after getting contradict, what happens is that it gives you as a null clause. So whenever we reaches to null clause, it means that, because if you see the last step, the process stops when it returns null clause. So here we got null clause. So that means the statement, what is the statement? Someone is smiling is proved. Okay, this has been proved. Okay, this is the process of proving from the given set of facts by a process called as resolution. So in examination, they will be asking you that, they will be giving you some example, like here we have taken some statement. Okay, yeah, these are the facts, and they'll say that you have to prove this statement through a process of resolution. So you need to perform all this process. That first thing is that what you have to do here is that you need to convert the facts into first order logic. Okay, and the statement which you need to prove, you have to make them as we have to negate that statement. Okay, then after that, after getting the first order logic, you need to convert into CNF. Okay, after converting into CNF, that CNF will act as an input for performing the process of unification, that is resolution graph. And through this resolution graph, if you will get a null clause, that means you can say that the given statement has been proved. Okay, so this is the process of resolution. Okay, so with this we completed today's session, and we completed 3 techniques here: forward, backward chaining, and the process of proving the fact is by the process of resolution. Okay, so this ends the today's session. Thank you.